Hockey Inside Out, presented to you by the Montreal Gazette.
Welcome to the HIO Show. I'm Stu Cowan of the Montreal Gazette, joined again this week by former Canadian Chris Nyland of TSN Radio 690, columnist Jack Todd, and Andy Bennett from CBC Daybreak. Chris, the Canadiens are 19-4-3 after the win over Columbus, but all everybody seems to be talking about is the fight with Nathan Beaulieu and Nick Foligno. Was he out cold on his feet?
Yeah, well, I don't know. He got dinged, but, I give him a lot of credit for sticking up for his teammates, first of all. What he did there is not easy to do, a big guy like that. But when you're a selfless player like that, when you're a team player like that, it's really hard to pick and choose when you want to do it. He reacted to a situation he thought was the right thing to do, and I believe it was the right thing to do. The only thing I worry about Nathan is that he fights a little too wide open. I'd rather see him, if he's going to get in a fight, especially with a big guy like that, a strong guy like that, to tie that guy up first and then fight from there. If he fights too wide open, he's going to get hurt down the road.
That could have been really ugly, though, Jack. Foligno stopped punching when he was out. Is this a sign that maybe it is time to get fighting out of the game?
It's so close to being out of the game now. I don't see why not take that final step. And if you get a Beaulieu seriously hurt, out for part of a season, the long-term consequences we know about of concussions, I think it's time to take the last step. I say the same thing I've been saying for the last 15 years. If the National Football League can get by without fighting, so can the NHL.
Now, Andy, a lot of the talk was about the quiet room the NHL supposedly has. Beaulieu went to the penalty box. He didn't go to the quiet room. You wonder, what's the point of having the quiet room?
Look, for me, it's another example of the NHL protocol being such a gray area. And if I have one more, a guy get punched in the head or looks like he's knocked out, and Foligno did hold up. He said after the game he held up because he saw in the guy's eyes that he wasn't there. He was gone. So, yes, that is typical in the NHL. These guys do have respect for each other. He's not going to keep wailing on him. But why have an NHL protocol if you're not actually going to follow it? Yes, he did pass the protocol through the second and the third intermission, but why not just take him straight away into the quiet room?
Shouldn't that be the official's call right away? That should be the official's.
But the referee basically asked Beaulieu, "Are you okay?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm okay."
Which was exactly my point. They need to stop. They need to take this decision away from the players when it's something like that with the brain. Like I think if a guy wants to play with a broken finger or a cracked rib, whatever, that's one thing. But you're talking about something that has very clear connections to depression later in life, addiction later in life. These are all head trauma situations, and you're asking a guy, how do you feel?
Exactly.
What NHL player is going to say,
I've
I don't
covered
feel
boxing
good?
for 30 years and watched it for 20 years before that, and I don't think I ever remember a boxer saying, yeah, I'm done.
No
the guy is
ever going to say that.
His eyes are closed, he's pouring blood, he can hardly stand up. The ref says, are you okay? Oh, yeah, I'm ready to go. Well,
and they might well be fine. I mean, he came back, he played a great third period. I'm not saying that, just because you get dinged that you are concussed, but why take the chance? Why not err on the side of caution? Because the guy's going to miss 10 minutes of a hockey game? Come on.
Now, Chris, there's no such thing as a quiet room when you played. What would be the problems of taking fighting out of the game?
I don't know, to be honest with you. Would there be more cheap shots? I see cheap shots all the time now. Guys don't do anything. No one gets involved. So would it open that up more? Possibly. Guys would take more liberties. But, I don't know. As far as the concussion thing, the league, I don't get some of it anyway. It's like the 5-minute major on Yemelin, like they guessed. Because the guy was laying on the ice, they made a guess that he got hit in the head.
They blew 2 calls. That was an interference call.
Foligno with the knee.
They missed Foligno. If they had called the major that he should have gotten for that knee right then on the spot, there probably wouldn't have been a fight. So it goes back again. The officials on the ice are the first line of defense, especially when it comes to player safety, and they're missing too many.
But it's bad timing. This happened for the NHL's case because Rick Westhead of TSN came out with this sort of secret emails that the NHL had been sending out, and one of them from Colin Campbell to Mike Milbury after the Matt Cook hit on Mark Savard in 2010 that basically ended his career. He said, "Let's face it, Mike. We sell rivalries. We sell and promote hate." Yeah. So this is another. Yeah. Does the NHL really want to get this out of the game?
They should be terrified because whether it's a BS lawsuit or not, it's a real lawsuit and there's real money involved. They're doing the same thing the NFL is doing, which is just stonewalling. And, they're making themselves more vulnerable by making bad calls in the way they manage things now. The history of it is bad enough. And if you're going to pretend that you've cleaned up the act with the quiet room and all that, then do it. Don't waltz around in the gray area here trying to have it both ways, which is what they're doing now.
Now, your thoughts on this lawsuit, Chris?
You know, again, there's could be some guys that certainly have suffered injuries that have hurt them long term. Again, I believe back in the day that guys, when they got hurt, they felt compelled themselves to get back in the lineup because they didn't want to lose their job. I don't believe coaches, GMs ever come down and said, you better play hurt or, you know, you're not going to be here. Guys put it on themselves. I can't, again, I'm making a blanket statement, but honestly, I believe it was up to the guys back then. And there could be some guys certainly hurting from this, no question about it. But then there's some guys that are in this lawsuit just because they want some money.
But the pressure, though, do you not agree, is much more subversive. It's not a coach saying, you're going to go back out there and play. It's every single time a guy goes back out onto the ice, he is praised afterwards. He was so courageous to do that. He was so courageous that what a teammate for doing that. We're praising these guys for putting themselves in dangerous situations.
That's our society, though. We do that.
Another one of the emails that was uncovered was from Mike Murphy, an NHL executive, to Campbell when he was talking about headshots. And he said, when we played, you stood up for yourself and your coach and GM told you to have some balls or go home. The game's changed, though, Jack. When you look at like Byron, Andrighetto, and Thomas with the Habs, none of them are taller than 5'10". They seem to be the NHL player of the future.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that you can really say for Bergevin and the Habs is they've gotten ahead of the curve on this. These players seem to be almost interchangeable. You bring them in, plug them into the lineup, they're ready to go. It's the same game, speed. And, you know, they're asking, are they big enough for the playoffs? My question is, are other teams fast enough to keep up with the Habs in the playoffs?
That's the thing. Are they big enough and tough enough once it gets to the postseason?
Well, we're going to see. The proof will be in the pudding, you know, once they play. But, you know, referring to the email, you know, the NHL does sell that. It's like you see the marketing campaign with cars sliding down the street, out of control.
That's it. We'll be right back after a short break. Welcome back, everybody. Jack, Mike Condon picked up another win against Columbus. He's now 9-2-3 with a 2.11 goals against average. Yeah. At what point does he become a legitimate NHL goalie and not maybe the next Steve Penny?
Well, let's hope he's not the next Andre Rasico.
Red light.
Well, red light. We'll be fine if he's not that. I think he's already proven that he is. In fact, I think watching his game, he's improved a lot just in this short time. When he was struggling a bit there, he can be a little bit frenetic. He comes out a lot. He's challenging people a lot. Now and then getting caught out of position. But I've seen him steady up just since in the short time he's been doing it. And you have to give Stéphane Waite enormous credit. This guy, he might be the Canadiens' permanent MVP, Stéphane Waite. But the other thing that struck me, with Condon is he has now played more than half of the starts for the Canadiens. And if anyone had said at the beginning of the season, you know, on the 1st of December, Carey Price will have started fewer than half of your games and the team will be in first place.
And nobody even knew who Mike Condon was at the beginning of the year, and it's Rick Dudley who found him in the AHL, another sign of their pro scouting. That's
a wonderful thing about this organization. Bergevin isn't afraid to bring in a Dudley.
He does have a really fun story, too. When you look at Condon, the way he came in and, you know, being at Princeton, then through the ECHL, and then getting back in there. And also, first of all, you guys need to update your references, your goalie references. Rasico? Really? Come on. Get into the
we don't want to insult anybody who can punch us out now.
Okay, I got you. But no, Condon has been, he's been great to watch. And I think he's really proved his stripes to go the distance of what he's done with Price out. And the team has played great in front of him.
Condon talked about his welcome to Montreal moment, Chris, was when he was recognized in a dry cleaner. Did you have one of those moments?
Yeah, the dry cleaner, right by the Manuel Lemoyne. It's funny when I read it, the same thing, you know, I went in the dry cleaner to get my clothes. Everybody's going nuts, wanted to take a picture. It's funny. He's a great kid. Good on him. And you're right about Stéphane Waite with him. This kid has the tools. He has the size. He has the ability. And now Stéphane Waite, I'm sure, is going to refine that, look for his weak spots, and work with him to improve and be a better goaltender than he is now.
Is handling the puck his weak spot, do you think? I mean, it looked a little weak against Columbus. Last night was such a weird night, I found, for the Habs. Like,
I don't know if it's handling it that's weak. I think it's maybe his decision making when he has the puck, because he can throw that thing pretty good.
Now, Marc Bergevin met with the media, and again, they're just calling Carey Price's injury a lower body injury. I joked it's like it's a secret how they got the caramel in the caramel park. Are people overreacting to him not being specific about it?
I don't say, I'm getting a lot of tweets because I've been critical of them for not coming clean. I'm getting a lot of tweets from fans saying it's none of our business. They don't owe the fans anything. Well, in fact, they owe the fans everything. But in this case, we know it's right knee. We know it's chronic because it's cropped up before. Why not? I see nothing to be gained if you're trying to protect the player when the whole world already knows it's the right knee. You're not protecting him. I would be interested to know what it is. I'm familiar with patellar tendonitis because I had it from high jumping. It's very painful. And now they have various treatments, plasma injections, corticosteroid injections. And when you go to surgery, it's making a number of small cuts in the tendon. Well, we know he's not doing surgery, but I would like to hear, is that what the condition is? And
I must be, I am in the minority on this. I don't really, it doesn't make much difference to me if it's his knee. Everybody says we know it's his knee. We don't actually know it's his knee. I mean, there's been a lot of educated guesses and speculation, and doctors surmise that he could have been having. And
he was walking around in New Jersey with a knee brace.
I mean, but
maybe that was just to throw people off.
Could be. I mean, but I just for me, it doesn't make any difference to me. I really don't care. I kind of see the point of, if you don't have to reveal it, why reveal it? Why are you going to give an opponent an edge?
Because you're a journalist and your job is to get everything you can get.
He's injured. He's going to be back when he's
healthy. But you want to know if it's an upper head injury, though, wouldn't you?
That I do. That's a totally different scenario.
Now, Marc Bergevin signed that long extension, Chris. I've heard some people criticizing the length of the extension, saying this guy's no Sam Pollock. But how can you even compare from different? I mean, there was salary cap.
It's crazy. Nothing's ever good enough. Again, Bergevin's done a great job here. How can you, as well as the coach has, he's solid. He's staying to his plan. He doesn't get swayed by the media, anybody. He just goes about his business, does his job. I think he's done a wonderful job here, and he's a sharp-dressed man, too. He's GQ,
just like you.
GQ Bergie.
You mentioned the coach, Michel Therrien. If the vote was today, you would have to think Michel Therrien would win Coach of the Year. But would he?
Well, I think he probably would not right now. And part of his problem is that people in this city just refuse to recognize that they have a good coach. He's a superb coach. He's adjusted. I knew Therrien when he first came to the league. I did a couple of interviews with him very early on, and believe me, he's just a different man today. A different man, a different coach, a different kind of patience. The game, I think it was in New Jersey, when Andrighetto took a terrible penalty in the overtime and then was out there for the shootout. That would never have happened under Michel Therrien, the first edition.
And he also, Andy, let Bud Holloway play his first NHL game at 27. Not only that, but he put him on the ice for the first shift.
I mean, I think Therrien is a great coach. If you listen to players talk about what he does and rewarding them with ice time, and the Bud Holloway is such a perfect example. Like, he really recognizes what's important to, I mean, not just to the fans, but to players. I mean, you see that he recognizes the importance to get a guy like Bud Holloway, who maybe was mismanaged earlier in his career and really didn't get his shot, to give him that game that's not going to hurt his team. Just give him that game. It really resonates, I think, through the rest of the team.
Well, here's what Max Pacioretty said about Therrien after the game. He said, "You can't hide with Mike, and everybody knows that. He's not afraid to call out any player on the team." Sort of maybe a little bit like Jacques Lemaire, who was one of your coaches, right?
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't mind seeing guys get called out to their face. Bring them in the room, sit down, talk to them. I don't like guys who call guys out in the media. I just don't think it's right.
John Tortorella?
Yeah, one-on-one, you don't have a problem with it. You sit down like a man, look the guy in the eye, tell him. And, I don't have a problem. And Michel Therrien does that, and that's a good thing. Look at Dale Weiss when he first came here. He ended up in the press box because he came in, he started bumping, he was skating, doing all these things. All of a sudden it stopped. He stopped doing the things that got him to the NHL. He put him up in the press box. And look how it's paid off down the road. It's paid off down the road. This kid comes to play every night. He's not going to score every night. We wish he would, but it's certainly paid off. And that's just one of the guys that have had a positive impact from Michel Therrien.
Well, things are looking pretty good for the Canadiens right now, and we'll see how they are next week when we're back here on the HIO Show.